Welcome to Mark D. Maker. My name's Mark Taylor. Today we'll be doing these little guys. These are all off of one pattern from one book, but changing the patterns around. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is taking one pattern and changing it around to make different things from it. So here's the book we'll be using. Rick Boots. This book's been out for quite some time. And the pattern we'll be using is right out of the book, right here. Great little pattern. The first human type figure that I've done, I use this pattern. So the first of my carvings was this one, and you can see how flat the face is. It doesn't really have any side dimensions. It's just kind of flat, and it pulls off as a folk carving. But when you look at, let's say, this one, where you can actually see it's not as flat, big difference, more rounded, still a little bit on the flat side, but better. And what we'll try to do is, even on this one, I don't think I'm finished. I'm going to take off wood over here and over here to make the face more rounded and bring the nose more to a point. Still haven't figured out what I'm going to put in his hand. And I traced the pattern in the book, and this is what it looks like when I cut it out and get it ready to place it on the wood. Now my wood here, this basswood, has one rough side and it is not flat. I can hold it up and I can see light through several places. So this particular side has dips and is not flat, but all the other sides are flat, which is wonderful. So I'll just make sure that this side is up, and I'm not using it as a reference on the table as a flat surface. So I just need my pattern opposite of a flat surface. So I will put on the side that's not exactly even, I will glue this into place and then do the side profile either here or here, and the uneven wood will never contact a flat surface, so it doesn't matter. All right, so like I said, great book. 14 projects in this book. It's good value. All right, so now we're going to take our patterns, and I'm going to use a glue stick. You can use spray adhesive. You can use whatever you like to secure the paper to the wood. You won't be using it afterwards. You won't have to peel this pattern off the wood. It all becomes scrap. It ends up in the bin. So this particular glue goes on purple, so you can see, make sure that you're covering everything. Ends up drying clear. It's just less mess to use a glue stick than spray adhesive. But for years and years, I used spray adhesive, I'm sorry. Now I'm going to use the bottom of this board here to line up the feet. That's going to be one of my references to make sure that everything comes out properly. I'm going to try to fit the whole pattern on here. And mash it down into the wood so it will stick. We want it to stick just long enough to cut out the pattern. This side seems to be nice and smooth. Although I do think I want this pattern up, like so. I do want it here. Now we're just using the silhouette as a guide, so it doesn't matter. I'm placing this in the middle of this board with waste here and here. That's why we can afford to have one side that's not perfectly straight. This side has a obvious dip right here. So go ahead and do that. Oopsie. Okay, so we have our blank cut out. Once the wood is in the profile and we have the front cut out, this is called the blank. And I've gone around and put lines down the center of where I want to round to. So basically, anything roundish shaping, you want to put a center line. So we really want to do the whole body. So we'll come straight on down across the top. I actually chopped the brim of the hat off. This individual, I'm going to try something a little bit different, something I've never seen before, as an experiment for myself to see if this is a decent way of doing things. As you can see, there's extra wood here that needs to be removed. I just roughly sketch in where the arms are going to be because there's a lot of waste in these areas. And this is where you can start to add different flavors, like these different characters. You can come up with different things that you would like. Alright, so I did a little carving on them. And this is what we got so far. I removed some of the waste wood here. Try to round out. Sliced in here and here for the back of the arms. And I'm starting to round this up around here to get the curvature of the top of the head. Still have that center line here. And this is about the center point here, so I'll carve this direction, this direction, meet in the middle. Kind of looking like the Mandalorian, isn't he? That would be cool. That's not what it's going to be, though. But that would be cool. We can do that sometime. Now it looks like he's wearing a motorcycle helmet. Alright, so here's where we're at so far. Got this cut back a little bit because the head comes back a little bit, comes down to the neck. This is angled back, so it gives a place for the ridge of the nose. And it tilts the eyes back a little bit at this angle. And what I was thinking about doing, I've never tried it before, but I was thinking about insetting a piece of wood in here. So in other words, this is a 1/4 inch piece of wood, put a 1/4 inch slot here and glue the hat into the, or glue the brim of a hat into that slot. So the wood would go into the slot and I could make it a brim. And that way the wood would be going with the grain and it wouldn't chip out like the hat did here. Because this goes, matter of fact, you can even see the cross grain there. because it's cross grain. Cat knocked it off the shelf and it broke. Worth a try. Almost looks like a welding helmet now. Alright, so this guy, I cut a channel in his head and I'm going to make that the brim of his hat. I got this piece of basswood, which I'm going to glue this insert in like so to make that brim really strong. Now, this is really fiddly type of work. Much easier to do a hat out of the single piece of wood, but I was curious and I wanted to experiment. It'll definitely have to be painted because there may be a little bit of a glue line. You know, I won't be able to go like a light stain of a paint like I did on this guy. It'll be more thicker opaque paint like that guy. So I'm going to glue this in. But then I'm going to switch off and I'll finish this guy at a later time and I'm going to completely change this guy. Alright, I went ahead and glued this piece in. I use this glue Titebond that's quick and thick. Now it dries clear, which I like. It's nice. Wood glue would work just fine. It glues with a more yellow tint to it, but this stuff is fairly new on the market. It's been around maybe a year or so. I like it. It's good. Works quick too. Dries quick. I did this just like 2 minutes ago and it feels like it's really in there. All right. We're going to switch off to this one now. So, some of the problems with this one, let me move the camera a little bit over here. Some of the problems with this one, and you can see I have the light coming from this direction so you can kind of see the faces. The eyes are carved straight in like this, straight ahead. And it makes the face look flat. Your eyes aren't like that. From the side, the eyes should come all the way around to here, the cavity of the eye. So I'm going to carve the eye socket more around to the side, the face at more of an angle of like this and like this. And that'll give a little bit more meat to the nose, and we'll be able to bring the nose out a little further. So I want to show you a little bit of a training aid here. So this is a resin cast of a realistic skull, or a real skull, should I say. And what I have a round dowel here. Now the skin here and here is pretty thin on a face. And look at that angle. It's definitely not flat. That is a pretty sharp angle here. So if you keep that in mind when you're carving, this angle, and the angle from here and here, I think it'll be helpful. But this is the first angle that I would focus on, and the size of the eye cavity is what you're carving first. And you can see how I'm cutting around the side of the eye, trying to wrap the eye around the face, around the head. And removing, there's a little much wood on the cheek as well, so I'm trying to get that angle. So we're going to finish both these guys up in part 2. Hope this information was helpful. Please like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time.